So today is March the 23rd, and we will start with happy belated birthday, Luis. Happy birthday, belated happy birthday, and I
Thank
hope
you.
you have,
Hi, by the way,
Mhm.
thank you for the pictures you sent, right? It was here in the
Oh, you
mailbox for
got
some time.
them.
I don't know exactly where they are, when they arrived because they didn't give us. We searched in the mailbox and when we found, and we need to hand them on to pass it on to also to the Maria, right?
Elisa.
And Elisa, yes.
And
Thank you
Maria,
so much. It
yes.
was great.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, you're welcome. So, yeah, so we hope you have the best time ever. And, this
Yes, I was
new.
with Tim and Josephine. Remember Josephine, people? Josie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
It was so nice
yes.
to see them again, right?
Oh, yes, but
Yes.
Um, okay, so March the 23rd, and here we are. We start with our prayer as usual. Do I have a volunteer? If not, I can do it.
A volunteer for reading?
For prayer. I can do it. I can do it, no problem. So let's start. So let's close our eye. Is that too loud? Yeah, it's too loud. So let's close our eyes. Calm down our thoughts. Relax our body. And invite our mentors, invite your mentors, the higher beings, to be here with us today. Dear Brother Jesus, as we gather here today to learn from the Spirit teachings, to learn from your loving message, we ask you, please, Jesus, to come beside us now. Lead us on our study today and on the days ahead of us. Help us to find this peace. Help us to find your peace. Help us to reach calming inner thoughts. You hold us safe, dear Jesus, and please do the same for this group, for the folks, the members of this group who could not be here today with us, for our mentors here with us today, our family members, and all of those crossing our mind right now, crossing our hearts, and all of those in need. You stay with us, Jesus. Keep us in your heart, in your hands. Stay with us today, tomorrow, and always. And so be it.
Amen. So be it.
And so be it. So, okay. So Hyacinth is not here. I was about to remind her that next week is gonna be her spring forward time for her. Is the chance for her to change the clock, but that's fine. So you guys be aware that we have a new season. Finally, we got the springtime over here. Is autumn, I guess, is autumn season in Brazil right now. And over here, I just put my the pictures that I had. With all the pictures I took from my dog walks, and that there is a reason why I'm putting this here today. It is to remind us about being in contact with nature. There is we can only benefit every time that we remind ourselves to be in contact with nature. Sometimes that we are tired, we need some time to relax or a break, and then we do something indoors, but not realizing so many good things we can do, and all the benefits that we can get from this contact with nature. And I was putting together some material that I'll be the one presenting the message tomorrow in my Spirit Center. And I was putting some slides together for tomorrow, and I realized, okay, so I can share this with you all as well. What I'm gonna talk tomorrow about is some of the challenges that we face as a modern society, and I do not know if this book from Divaldo Franco, O Homem Integral, or The Integral Man, that's the translation, I guess, of this title. So I'll be talking about some of those messages that we see in this book. And this book is about basically Divaldo's spiritual guide, Joana de Angelis. She's mapping our society, and she's talking about the great challenges that we have ahead of us. The things that we should be looking for as we do, or as we propose to ourselves, suggest ourselves to go ahead and do our inner transformation, our moral transformation. So, and then I'm not gonna say all of this, discuss about all those items, but basically she's talking about that the entire process of disruption that our society face today actually came from disbelief, and it's very logical that this is how she calls the pillar, the foundation of all the other problems that we face today. Because the disbelief is basically saying we do not, there is no spiritual life. There is no life after this life. There is no God existence. There is nothing but here and now. And that is something that this idea of disbelief, it was something that it was a natural, how can I say, thought, based on the fact that in the past, we, the same society that, we, being imperfect people as we are, we used the religion to kill, to torture, to manipulate people. And it was natural that, at some point, some people, they would propose something different, right? So they would do the contrary movement, saying, hey, this is wrong, so we need to stop this. This is not right. So we, back in the 19th century, then we started this movement of eliminating the fanatism, the religious fanatism out of our behavior, our society. The problem is, as we did eliminate the fanatism, or we tried to do that, we also eliminated the religion, which in Joana de Angelis' opinion, it was bad, but not terrible, because people can live without religion. The problem was the fact that with the religion, we also eliminated the idea of spirituality. Thus, disbelief being the main problem that we face today, because out of disbelief, then we have everything else: materialism, individualism, consumerism, and so forth. So many other problems came out of this very basic disbelief idea that there is nothing out there. So if there is nothing out there, I have to be happy now. I have to be the most successful person. And my goals, they're all set on materialistic things, on material items. And, you know, I have to be the best, to get the best position in my job. I have to have the best house, the best car, and so forth. So that's the what she's talking about. And as we do face all those issues, all those problems, she also says, well, that means that the society that we live in today is basically sick, right? So we live in a sick society. And the only chance of me to break with that standard, you know, to that thought, is to propose myself a strategy for me to change. And that strategy, it is necessary through the moral transformation. So, but how we do this, how we initiate, promote this moral transformation. And then in this book I know for sure there is a translation in English. It's called Plenitude. In this book, she is saying necessarily in a transformation or moral transformation, we will start with self-knowledge, right? And for that, she's proposing 4 skills, if you will, or 4 tools, actually 4 tools for us to do this moral transformation and to do our search for self-knowledge. The first one is will. And the will the will basically will need another the help of 3 other elements: resilience, persistence, and motivation. Because at the end of the day, this process of moral transformation or self-knowledge is not a commitment of a single life or a single incarnation, but it is a commitment for lives, reincarnations. We will not be able to achieve illumination, or to be the best, or to be a higher being, a higher spirit in just one incarnation. So it is a process, a continuous process that will progress as we go on. And to that, we need to keep this flame of will pretty much alive. And to keep that alive, we need resilience, persistence, and motivation. The second tool that she proposes is spiritual knowledge. We have plenty of material for us to learn from. The problem is that the spiritualistic people, we are very mental. We are very we always try to think and rationalize and do according to reason. And sometimes we forget that moral values has a lot to do with feelings, with your heart. So it is a matter of bringing that knowledge from here to the heart, and then you will get it. You will do it right. The third one, and that's why I bring that today, today, is the contact with nature. So let's not miss our opportunity, at least for the folks living but even the folks in Brazil, because there is no winter time, there's no, it's always very beautiful, shiny day in Brazil. So the contact with nature, Joana de Angelis is telling us that, as a matter of fact, she mentioned something that is very interesting. She's talking about those folks working, the farmers, for example. She's talking and she's calling attention to the fact that they, in general, they have a very robust faith. They have a very strong faith. And the reason is because that's because of what they do. They are in a daily basis, they are in contact with the nature. And by doing that, they are also in contact with nature's creator. And as we get in contact with nature, we see ourselves in that creation. So we do recognize that we belong to that creation. And what we see, nature is perfect, is beautiful. So we are the same. So we can be as perfect. So that's the move of, reconnecting with our creator. That's why she's talking about the importance of being in contact with nature. Sometimes we see the neighbor hugging a tree and we say, okay, that guy is crazy. No, let's not think about it, because that guy is trying to reconnect with, his or her creator. And the fourth tool is meditation. But guys, do not miss concept. Let's think about what the meditation she's talking about. Is not the, being quiet and not moving, not doing anything. It is that kind of meditation. As we go at the, we live our days, we stop for a while and we think about our attitudes, what we did, how we respond to this or that situation. That kind of meditation she's talking about is more like a self-evaluation, I guess. And she proposes, actually, she's suggesting for us to do twice daily as a minimum, to think about, okay, what have I done? Was that right? Was that wrong? And if you do not know exactly, sometimes and she continues, if you do not know exactly whether or not what you did was right or wrong, you think about, she suggests some techniques, like, for example, take yourself out of the picture and substitute that with somebody else, like your neighbor. And then think about, if you saw that your neighbor doing what you did, is that right? Does that sound right to you? The other technique that she also proposes is funny, because I had this for a long time, and I swear this technique really prevented me from doing bad stuff many, many times. She says, take someone you have, you know, a profound respect, and imagine that person looking at you doing what you just did. I swear, I could see Jesus looking at me and say many times, and that prevented me from, you know, or kept me away from trouble many times. So those are the kind of things that I would like to share with you. Tomorrow I'll be talking about this in the Spirit Center, but I just wanted to share with you guys today. And as a reminder, this is our agenda. Leda will be talking to us next Saturday about this book from Chico. And just as a reminder as well, April 6th, there is not going to be a meeting because we will be in Apopka, Orlando, Florida. That's the event. April 6th and 7th will be there. Some of us, and then in April, Dr. Guilherme will be talking to us. I just want to mention April the 13th is not confirmed yet, but we'll see. He might be able to talk to us on April 13th. And okay, so that's the book. Okay, here we are. The Spirits book, that's the book we are studying today, First Causes. And last time we met, we were talking about pantheism, and the question was, is God a distinct being, or, as some believe, the result of all the forces and intelligences of the universe combined? And the answer is God exists. You cannot doubt this. And that is a crucial point. Do not try to go beyond it. Do not get lost in a labyrinth from which you will never find an exit. Trying to go farther will not make you any better. Instead, it would only increase your pride by causing you to believe that you know something, while in reality, you know nothing. Cast aside all these systems. You have enough to worry about that directly affects you, beginning with yourselves. Study your own imperfections so that you may shed them. This will be far more useful to you than any attempt to penetrate the impenetrable. That I love this. This is so much in line with so many things. So there's nothing beyond this to discuss. So the next question to the group is, what about the concept that all of nature, beings, and worlds of the universe are parts of the divinity, and they are in their entirety divinity itself? I.e., the Pantheistic Doctrine. What do we think? Is that any comment on that? What about the concept that all nature, beings, and worlds of the universe are part of the divinity? No comment? Shall we go to the question?
There is no spot where God is not.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yep. I think you nailed, Gloria, because the thing is, human beings cannot be God. That is one thing. Upon recognizing this, they want to at least be a part of God. So that is saying, although one part of the creation cannot be God, but all together, right? So all together we perform, or we are part of God. Question, comment? Nope. So the next one is, those who support this doctrine claim to find some of God's attributes in it. As there are an infinite number of worlds, then God is infinite. As vacuum or nothingness is nowhere, God is everywhere. Since God is everywhere and everything is an integral part of God, God gives an intelligent purpose to all natural phenomena. How can we oppose this reasoning? That was a question from Kardec to the spirits. Any comment? The answer is reason. Use reason, right? Think long and maturely about the assumption in question, and you will have no trouble finding its irrationality. That's the answer to the question number 16 in the Spiritus book. And then this pretty much closes the pantheism section of this chapter. So do I have a volunteer to read this comment from Kardec?
Sure. Pantheism. This doctrine makes God a material being who, despite being endowed with supreme intelligence, would only be a large-scale version of what we are. However, as matter is incessantly transforming, God would have no stability if this theory were true. God would be subject to all the instabilities and needs of humanity. God would lack one of the essential attributes of divinity, the quality of being unchangeable.
Unchangeable. Yeah, that's so true.
The properties of matter cannot be attributed to God without lowering divinity in our thoughts. And all the subtleties of sophism fail to solve the problem of God's essential nature. While we do not know all that God is, we know that God cannot be. We know what God cannot be. And the theory stated above directly contradicts God's essential attributes. It mistakes the creator for the creature, as if one were to consider a clever machine to be a vital part of the engineer who designed it. God's intelligence is revealed in the work of creation as an artist is in his or her canvas. God's works, and my screen, God's works are no more part of God than the canvas is the artist who painted it.
Lots of good things to think
Yes.
about.
Yes, that was I was saying. I couldn't think that pantheism could be God because that didn't make sense to me actually.
Mhm.
But this explanation of God as an artist in the canvas, that makes sense to me.
Yes.
Because St. Stephen, you know that I had a priest who talked to him for a long time. And they asked him, what does it mean that made in the image of God?
Mhm.
And he said, it's like when an artist envisions something and he paints that.
Mhm. Yeah, That's beautiful.
So that this, therefore, when this then talks about an artist and a canvas, then that rings a bell with me and explains it to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I love this chapter, this section of this chapter. It makes a lot of sense to me.
It's almost like if we can come up with a definition, that's not it.
Yet, because we cannot understand, yeah, we cannot grasp the whole thing. Yes. Thank you, Hyacinth. Thank you, Gloria. So, guys, so now we are moving away, still in the chapter 1, the book 1, First Causes, but we complete the chapter 1, that is God, and now we are moving, in the book, we are moving to chapter 2. In the chapter 2 is about general elements of the universe. So in that chapter, then, Kardec is covering knowledge of the first principle of things, and then spirit and matter, and then properties of matter and universal space. And so the first question on knowledge of first principle of things is, does humankind have the ability to understand the first principle of things? Gloria, what do you think? No. There are things that God, but I brought this question because of the answer. There are things that God does not reveal to human beings here in this world, but let's pause for a second and think about this answer, because do we really believe that is God not revealing anything? To me, it's more like, it's not that God is intentionally hiding things away from us, but remember that we talk about moral transformation. So for the time that we are, right now we have all these imperfections, we have all these shadows in our hearts. We do not hold the moral values as we should, as those higher beings have in their heart. So as such, we cannot really think about knowing everything, because we are not wise enough to use that knowledge. So I don't think God is really hiding anything. It's just that we do not have the skills, and we will not know what to do, or worse, we will do a bad use of the knowledge and cause even more harm than good. Gloria, please.
For me, I think that sometimes things are revealed to me that I can feel, but I can't yet understand.
That is exactly. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And sometimes the truth just passes by, but you will never notice, because we are not there. Our capability of grasping and understanding will not, And the other question is, will human beings ever be able to penetrate the mystery of things that are concealed from them?
Oh, probably one day in the future.
Very, very
Very, very.
far down the road.
Yes.
One day we will.
We need
And
to left to be a child, a spiritual child.
we need to grow up, definitely.
Yes.
Yes. Hyacinth, please.
Well, it seems to me that some people things are revealed to them, but not everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you say that, you know what it comes to my mind is, for example, I believe there's nothing that, oh, this is just my opinion. I believe that when Jesus was walking with the apostles, I believe he did talk way more. He did reveal to them, just that it was just to those, that small group, because they were able to understand.
Ah, but then they didn't always understand him.
Yes,
John was
yes.
the one who, he was a mystic, and he was the one who understood more than the
Who?
others.
Who?
John.
John? Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And but I mean, mostly they were not educated generally. I mean, and they didn't understand the
Yeah.
transfiguration.
Yes.
How on earth could they have understood the transfiguration?
Yes.
And he
Yes.
said, don't, I mean, they couldn't. And then he said, when I resurrect, I will, but don't talk about these things until after the resurrection. What did they know about the resurrection?
No, yes.
I
Yeah,
mean,
very
that
good
came
example.
much later. Yes.
Very good example. You know, and some of those things that he told them and they kept in the scriptures, they, even though they didn't understand, it was a message to us today. Like today we understand some things, you know, that perhaps in the past they were not able to.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Hyacinth, can you read the answer for
Okay.
us, please?
Does humankind have the ability to understand the first principle of things? No. There are things that God does not reveal to human beings here in this world. Will human beings ever be able to penetrate the mystery of things that are concealed from them? The veil will be lifted as human beings achieve their purification. But to understand certain things, they need faculties that they do not yet possess.
That's the
So people who have, I'm saying the people who have had near-death experiences, or they have crossed over and come back and so on, that they understand better.
if they have the, how can I say, I don't think necessarily they will understand better. It's sometimes there are elements that we need, and some those elements I believe is related to, again, what we just called moral values, etc.
Mm.
Yeah. So not necessarily I will have it if I have the gift of seeing things that, you know. Carol, please.
So when we incarnate back on Earth again in another life, don't we still go through the memory where it's wiped? So what we've learned when we were discarnate, that, and we come back as an incarnate, do we go through the memory process where it's wiped?
I go with what the spirits say, that we do in those experiences, we do whatever is necessary for us to do. So I think that's one of the things that I believe is Giles' answer. You know, one does not fit all. Sometimes it's necessary for us to review the whole thing, the whole journey. Sometimes you need to review a specific fact, and you will review everything if that is necessary. Now, the book of your life in all your lives will be somewhere, you know, in the if necessary to go back and review things, then you will have the chance. Is out there somewhere. Do not ask me how, but there is a library somewhere in the ether, or you know, somewhere. Yeah.
But when you come back, and you're coming back for a specific purpose, you come back to learn new things, and so you don't. Children can carry it on until they forget,
Mhm.
but I don't think that you remember everything from past life.
No.
You
No.
kind of, because you have a different situation in this life,
Yes.
and you
Yes.
are learning and experiencing.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not even a good thing for us to remember the whole thing, right? So
No.
it's yeah.
That's what Stephen said.
Mm-hmm.
Just think that you are blessed that you do not remember.
Yes. Yeah. I was able to recall few things, you know, very sporadic things, because it did help me to overcome a challenge. Like, I was so terrified with altitude, like being in a very high place, to the point that I could not function. And one day I was thinking to myself, saying, guys, no, I need to, it's part of my job. I need to do my work. Sometimes I have to climb in some equipment very tall, so tall that sometimes you can sense the wind. And it was back in the days when I first started, and I said, no, I have to be able to do my job, and this is really a challenge. Don't ask me how or you know why. One day I was in the shower, and all of a sudden I saw someone running, and that person was me, but that person was actually running away from somebody else. And I got to a cliff, and there was nowhere to go other than this very it was like a valley in front of me, but I was in this cliff, and somebody just, you know, pushed me. And but the thing is, after that, it's not that I'm not afraid of being in places, you know, high places. It's I'm respectful, but that would not stop me anymore. So I was able to overcome that fear that paralyzed me, you know. So whatever is useful for you, I think it's gonna happen if that is for your good, but not just to satisfy curiosity, I guess. They don't have time for this. Gloria, please.
I had a similar experience. Resent is not the right word, but I really didn't like the fact that I had emotional reactions, and I felt a lot of discomfort with my own emotional reactions, and I was shown another life where I was a man who had no emotions at all. Mm-hmm. And that gave me so much comfort currently that, well, that was no emotions. This is what I consider to be too many. And in other words, I was compensating or looking for balance. It was an opportunity to feel something because that man didn't feel anything, you know. So that was my experience, similar to yours. and then changing the subject a little bit, the veil will be lifted as human beings achieve their purification, but understand certain things they need, but to understand certain things, they need faculties that they do not yet possess.
Mhm.
When I first read that, I thought about that story about the 100th monkey that, you know,
Yes.
they go to different islands, but if one monkey starts doing something differently, then on the other island, they're doing it differently without communicating in any way. And that was the first thing that came to my mind. And then I thought, wait a minute. What does faculties mean? They need faculty. The veil will be lifted. So I guess that was what I was going to ask you, is because I thought that's not what that's talking about. And it's not talking about like seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting. What's another word for faculties?
That's a good question. And so remember when Hyacinth was talking about transfiguration?
Mm-hmm.
Today we might not understand entirely the transfiguration, but we do have a very good idea what exactly happened, right?
Yes.
So I guess that's what it is. Back then they could not understand because they have no idea how to understand a process like this. But today we know more about the spiritual life. We know more about those higher beings like Jesus, and we understand better how they actually can do this, how they, using only their will as a spirit, they can manipulate matter and make themselves visible. But back then, oh gosh, we could never understand. I guess when they talk about faculties, it's not just about whether we can see or sense anything, but also understand.
That makes more sense to me. Thank you.
And when they say the veil will be lifted, look at this. In the first question, in the first answer, the Spirit says God does not reveal, but now is the veil will be lifted. Who's going to lift the veil? Is God? No. Us. We will do our job. We will seek knowledge. We will seek spiritual growing, if you will. And we will lift this veil. Nobody else but us. Right?
Thank you.
Maria.
I think that we have many questions to do to ourselves about knowledge. I remember that Jesus said that to whom much is given, much will be asked.
Yes.
Né? And what do I do with the knowledge I acquire? Who does this knowledge make me a better person? How much knowledge have I acquired? And not, how I can say?
Acquired.
And not use in my favor or in the favor of the other people.
Yep.
We need to be careful. Jesus said to us that be careful that the light in you is not a dark light, because I can take knowledge, but I don't have a moral development corresponding to knowledge.
Wonderful point. Yes.
Yes, I can make bad things with my knowledge.
With your knowledge, if you do not hold moral values.
Every time we do bad things.
Yes.
Because we have an individual interest in interesses individuais. How I can say it in English? individualism.
Yes, she's talking
Personal
about,
interest.
yeah, personal
Yes.
interest.
Yes, and I think that we think first in our interesting because we are egoistas. How can I say in English? Egoistas?
Selfish.
Selfish, yes.
Yeah.
It's a very important point to question us.
Right?
Wonderful, Maria. Thank you so much. Luis, Livia.
Yes, this point Maria touched exactly I was going to talk about, because information is knowledge and knowledge is power, and power can bring to the individual disastrous consequences if this
Oh,
person is
very
not
good point.
at a high altitude. I remember one former president of the United States, Bill Clinton, once, if I'm not wrong, he said that the biggest regret he had in life was one day that he was very tired in the office. He just wanted to go home or to go somewhere to rest. And he left a paper on his table to be signed, and he didn't. Because of this, hundreds of people died in Africa. So this was one of the biggest regrets. And so to play God for us is very hard and very difficult and can be disastrous. So how can you mend the situation other than in another reincarnation, devoting yourself to one kind of people? So it's really hard to have power, and knowledge is power, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Very, very good points, guys.
Yes, very important because we did it in each life we have in the past.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Every day.
Yes,
Every
but
day,
we
if we
need
do not
to
pay attention, yeah.
change actually.
Yes. Thank you, guys. So the next question then, can humankind penetrate some of the secrets of nature through scientific investigations and research? Remember what Luis just said. Knowledge is power. Information is power.
Luis, I don't know how I can say it in English, but in the Netflix we have a seriado. Oh, how
Series?
can
A TV show series,
a TV shows about Einstein, about the
Albert
nuclear
Einstein.
bomb. It's a very interesting.
Yeah, I love that. So, any comment? Can humankind penetrate some of the secrets of nature through scientific investigations?
I think that probably, but
So the answer is science is a means of development for human beings, but they cannot surpass the limits set by God. What do you guys understand by limits set by God? Is God sitting on the truth and telling, no, the truth is mine, nobody will have it?
There's something that I think it's very funny about mediumship, that I think it's related to somehow a mechanism of protection of information that you cannot overcome very easily. Or I remember, for example, I used to do some tests with spirits, asking them some very specific questions, and something just, the information wouldn't come. And if the medium insists in giving that information, the information is usually wrong.
Wow.
Yeah, the information, because people from the spirit side cannot yet, for example, reincarnation in England in the 1800s, 1900s, right? Allan Kardec, remember I told you, Allan Kardec asked the spirits in France, wow, why do you reveal reincarnation here? And in countries, in other countries, for example, you just say reincarnation don't exist. And they say, because there are some countries that this kind of knowledge can be disastrous. People won't accept for many reasons, economical, social, racial, whatever reasons. It can be a big problem. So we give them this kind of of knowledge, spiritual knowledge first, and reincarnation will postpone, take a rain check for reincarnation, right?
Isn't
In
that
the
amazing? It's
future, they will accept. That's what they said. And why do you say this in France? Because in France is a very philosophical country. Your
Yeah.
country is psychologically prepared of knowledge. But mediums, many mediums in England in the 1900s, if you ask them, in the 1800s, 19s, if you ask them about reincarnation, the spirits said no reincarnation. They were spiritualists. They received, right, channeled spirits, but the spirits would say no reincarnation, right? Still, the superior spirits, they labor in favor of peace and love, right? Everything that's any kind of piece of knowledge that will cause damage or distress, they have to give us. But
That's
those
a-
who candidate themselves to higher knowledge, they will sometimes go revealing step by step, individually, right? But not in terms of population, right?
very well
Luiz,
said. Maria,
are you
please.
speaking in Portuguese to Luiz? Eu não sei falar inglês, Luiz, mas a reencarnação foi tirada da Bíblia pela Igreja Católica. Você já leu sobre isso?
Ah, yes. So the Roman Empire removed the very afraid of the idea of reincarnation. Imagine you are a senator or an emperor, and you will be born on a coast
As a
of Africa
slave.
in a very poor situation as a slave, for example. But this was exactly what happened. Many black people that was enslaved in Brazil, whereas in Brazil here,
Mhm.
they were former Roman authorities, right? And they conquered their humility, suffering as slaves in Brazil, right?
Yes, yeah. So Luis, since you were the very, thank you guys, very good comments. Since you were the very last one, would you please can you read the comment from Kardec?
And the comment, yes. The farther humans penetrate the investigation of these mysteries, the greater their veneration of the power and wisdom of the Creator should be. However, due to pride and weakness, human intelligence often leads to misconceptions. Humans pile systems on top of systems, and every single day we learn how many errors they have for truths and how many truths they have. This amounts to more disappointment than human pride can bear. Yes. I remember a physicist saying that, he said, my concept, a famous, I forgot his name. He said, worldly famous. He said, my conception of God is that every secret that is unveiled and that we discover the solution for, another 10 other secrets come up to our observation.
Mm-hmm.
For me, this is the idea of God, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's very good. So the next question now, through means other than scientific investigation, this is an interesting question. Through means of other than scientific investigations, is humankind able to receive communications of a higher order than that transcend human senses? Through means other than scientific investigation, is humankind able to receive communications of higher order that transcend human senses?
Well.
Yes, so the answer, yes. When God deems it useful. See, Carol, that's, I knew I read that somewhere. When God deems useful. So they do not have time to amuse us. God reveals, I mean, it's not really God, like I said, sitting down on the truth, on top of the truth, and saying, no, I'm going to hold it. God reveals to human beings what science is incapable of teaching them. But that God is actually us, right? So us reaching or gaining more and more comprehension about those mysteries. And the comment is, through these communications, humans are able to obtain knowledge of their past and future destiny to a certain point, to a certain degree. Carol, please.
I was just going to ask you to give an example of when God deems it useful and what is revealed.
Yeah, so if it, like Louise was saying, if it's about love, then it's useful. If it's not gonna do any good, then it's not useful, or it's deemed not, I guess. Gloria, please.
When I ask for guidance, it's given to me. If I listen for it, it's given to me. And when I pray for something, some outcome with family or friends or people's health, my prayers are always answered, but it's not always the way I pictured it. Most of the time, it's much better.
Exactly.
So,
I wonder why.
So God has ways that are beyond my comprehension. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Gloria. Luis, Livia.
I was thinking about Gloria's questions, and I thought maybe for humanity, science, like Einstein and some others that comes with these reviews that had these reviews before, and they bring to us, like other missionaries that brings all these reviews that already had.
The prophets, yeah.
Yes, prophets and many others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good, because what you said, reading this question and answer, and what you said is just about what I thought about adding here, taking a pause for a minute and just reminding you guys things like this. For example, remember when Chico's mother comes to him and talks about her experience when she visited Jupiter? So this is so she was talking about things that science, it was back in 1935. So only now we know some aspects of that planet that back then she was already talking about to Chico. So, and then we read this answer saying, oh, when God deems useful. So what is the use? What is the utility of something being revealed in 1935, whereas only now we know? Well, it's just to prove to ourselves, hey guys, this is true. This is there is a spiritual reality, and yes, as a spirit, you can go anywhere. You have this ability, and there are other civilizations. It's not the same dimension, but so be aware of all of that. Luis, please.
Yes, it's me.
Oh,
I was
yes.
thinking about her all the time. I don't know, it's interest that you put her as an example, because she was a very simple woman and she didn't have very much intellectual development in this life, as Chico's mother. She used to do the laundry for people. She was very simple woman, but she had these moral values. She was very, very good woman, and she helped a lot of people, and she had all these things revealed for her when she died. And she didn't have to have very much intellectual improvement, but the Spirit said, you are a very noble soul, and you will be capable to understand, and you can go anywhere you want, because she knows how to love.
Yeah, she started traveling into
Yeah.
other planets, right, with her spirit guide
Yeah.
in a way that because people, if you are morally superior, you follow some very basic rules that makes the higher authorities free to reveal things to you. But if you are a dark soul, you can be the highest level scientist. There will be a very strong limit to your knowledge. No matter how far you're going with your knowledge, but there will be a very strong limit to it. That's what Saint Augustine used to say, right? Love and do whatever you want to.
Yeah.
You get freedom.
That's very good. Thank you, guys. Maria?
I think that we have a good example with Paul when he wrote to Corinthians in the gospel. I put
Paul of Tarsus. Yeah.
Yes, and he said that I raised you with milk and not with food, for we were not yet able, nor are you now able. I think that's a very interesting reflection to us in these verses. I don't know verse. All right.
Thank you, Maria. And just so we know, so we were talking about this book from Chico in 1935, but I just want to call attention to you guys, and it is available in the Kardecpedia, all the magazine reviews from Allan Kardec, and one of them, you know, is still talking about things that have not been revealed to humankind of you know, but for some of us through mediumship, I want to say. You guys can check on the Kardecpedias about the Spiritist Review, and one of them that I would like to bring today, to call your attention today, is this one from March 1858 that talks about Jupiter and a few other worlds. And in that notes, they were talking about all those planets, Mars, and, you know, things that only now we know. But in this specific case, they're talking about how the population of lives. Luis, could you please read for us, since you have a much better voice than me?
Okay, no thanks. So, but all right. What we know about Jupiter is Spiritist Review, Jupiter and a few other worlds. The conformation of the body is more or less the same as those of Earth's inhabitants, but it is less material, less dense, and with a very low specific weight. While we painfully crawl on Earth, the inhabitants of Jupiter transport themselves from one place to another by sliding on the surface of the soil, almost tirelessly, like the bird in the air or the fish in the water. As the matter that forms the body is more refined, it dissipates after death without being subjected to putrid decomposition. Most of the diseases that afflict us are unknown there, especially those originating from the excesses of all kinds and the debauchery of passions. Substance is in concert with the ethereal organization. A subsistence, yes. Subsistence is in concert with that ethereal organization. It will not be sufficient enough for our coarse stomachs, and ours would be too heavy for them. It consists of fruits and plants which, in fact, they somehow harvest, for the most part, from the environment, whose nutritious emanations they inhale. Lifespan is proportionally much longer than that on Earth. The average is equivalent to about 5 of our centuries. The development is also very fast, and childhood lasts only a few of our months. I remember that there was a guy in NASA, right? He's saying something I was listening to the Voice of America when I was young, and the guys say, well, we are going to those planets, visiting those planets with the wrong gear, because we go to Mars with our cameras, for example, cameras that are usually taking pictures with the vibration to which we are used to, right? But we needed to make other kind of cameras, other kind of perception to visit another planet. And that's it. According to the spirits, when we go visiting these planets in the solar system, we visit cadavers, but not the real planet, because they are located at other vibrational levels of life. But life is there. The point is to have eyes to see, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good point. Yeah, thank you, Luis. So guys, those magazines, those reviews from Kardec, they are out there and they are available. I guess last year or the year before, they didn't have all the translated magazines, but now they're available. And all those things that have been reviewed many, many years ago to people that could understand and make good use of that knowledge. But some of this, like Luis said, it is yet to be proved, right? Through science. So, but I just thought it was an interesting thing to kind of illustrate what we just read in the spirit book. And over here in Houston is 4:15, folks, and it's time for us to close. Remember, next Saturday, Leda will be talking to you. Okay, Carol, please.
I just wanted to ask if I heard correctly, there's an Einstein series on Netflix?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And it's a very nice one. I watched it in the I can't remember now I will send in a WhatsApp group. I will send the link to it. It's a very nice one. I really recommend. It was very good recommendation from Maria. Yeah. So guys, thank you so much. See you next
Okay,
Saturday.
thank you.
Have a great
I
weekend.
won't be with you next Saturday. And Gloria, thank you so much for reminding me, because I was still on at 10 o'clock. I said to my daughter, no, it's 10 o'clock. And then I thought, oops. So
Yeah. But remember,
Thank you.
next
You.
Saturday is
Great
gonna be
party,
different
Haishin.
for you.
yes, and think of me,
Bye-bye.
Louis. Pray for me. Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
Bye.
right.
Bye-bye. See you
Bye-bye.
next
Bye.
Saturday.
Bye,
Good.
guys.
Next week.
Have a nice week.